Hey guys, it's Viger, and this...
OllieMae!
OllieMae, my sister, and this is going to be a slightly different video that we're doing, and it might just be a possible series. Who knows, who knows. So, judging by the title, you probably know where this is going. As you can probably see, we are huge Attack on Titan Shingeki no Kyojin fans. And this is basically what this whole series is going to be about. Us just more or less discussing the chapters and the manga. That's the big thing. We'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. We're weird. Yes, we know. So, basically what this whole series is going to boil down to is we're just going to be talking about all things Attack on Titan. All things Shingeki no Kyojin. Anything that has to do with this series, we're going to be talking about. But there is a disclaimer that we are going to put out there for anybody who isn't completely up to speed with this, if you want to go into it.
Yes. If you have just watched the season 1 that has aired, good for you, good choice. But we are going to be discussing, starting here, we're discussing stuff that isn't going to even be covered in the season 2 that is coming out in April, I think. So we're even past what season 2 is going to cover.
I think we're in like season 4 territory
I don't know,
now,
but
at this rate.
Season 2 is only covering like chapter 50, up to chapter 50, I think, is what I read.
Chapter 50 to 50?
Well, no, from where it left off to chapter 50. And this is like, we're on chapter 90.
Yeah.
So don't watch these if you haven't read the manga.
Yes, if you are not up to at least chapter 91 in the manga, click off this video, unsubscribe, do all that stuff.
Unless you want tons of spoilers.
Unless you want to get spoiled like no one other's business. But we are just putting that out there. This series is completely like manga related. Maybe we'll reference the anime later on. But that's a different episode entirely. This episode is not that.
Chapter 90.
Lots of spoilers in this, so you have been warned. Alright? So now that all the people who don't want to be spoiled have left the building and everything, hello guys. Man, we have a lot to talk about today. Because not only did one new chapter of Attack on Titan come out, but...
two, well, with the app that we use.
With the app that we use,
and the translation, because we can't speak Japanese.
Yeah, we're spoiled like that, and impatient like that. So, there has been 2 new chapters that have been updated for English-speaking, reading people. 90...
The Zingbox, yeah.
Zingbox, yeah. 90 and 91. And, oh boy, there is a lot that we need to discuss. Just...
What?
Yes, just a lot of what happens. Mainly in one chapter in particular, but we will get to that in a little bit. So, first thoughts that we had with these 2 new chapters. Well, there's 2 instead of the usual 1 that we get like a month or so. And not to mention that it took a long time for these 2 chapters to come out. Because usually it doesn't take this long, right?
That's because usually we get 1 a month, and we missed 1, so it felt extra long.
So then it was 2 chapters in the span of 2 months, so... But it was... We were hoping for, like, a lot more, like, answers. I think that's kind of what we go with.
That's what I hope for every time.
Every time.
Every time.
But every time, it's like, yeah, we get answers to some questions, but then even more questions get piled on.
Yeah.
And this one... way too many questions to even start with. So
we're gonna start.
We're gonna try to break this stuff down, because we even looking at this forwards and backwards and every which way in between, we still don't really even understand entirely what is going on. Because not to mention, there is like maybe 2 time skips within the span of these 2 chapters.
Like,
we're not entirely certain.
Time skips, but they could be flashbacks, but they could be concurrent timelines.
They could be memories. Who knows what's going on?
I don't know.
Yeah. So,
I don't even know.
We're going to start off with probably the easiest chapter to digest, and that would be chapter 90. So, bit of a recap. A lot of stuff has happened. Again, if you're in the anime, this is where it gets very, very bad. So, Survey Corps has returned from Shinigashina District with all the information that they got from the Did I pronounce it right?
Shingashina.
Shigashina? I call it Shigashina.
We're
You
not
say
Japanese.
tomato, I say tomato.
We're not
We
Japanese.
are very, very English. We are very, very American, unfortunately. So, the Survey Corps has just returned from Aaron's home district. I'm just going to call it that from now, so I'm right. And they have presented to the head military Erickson guy, like, just the entire, like, human military, just all the information that Grisha Yeager has kept in his basement this whole time.
Got in the basement.
They got into the basement, finally! And there was not as much stuff as we thought, but
It just
the stuff that was there,
it just opened up a whole other can of worms,
is
and now I'm confused.
a huge new can of worms, an entirely...
whole new story arc.
which we will get to in the next chapter. But what it came into was that there's an entire, like, enemy human civilization called Marley that is basically, unbeknownst to the people of the walls, their sworn enemy. And
But
because
they're the ones that call themselves Eldians too, right?
no, Marley's completely different. Eldians
Okay.
is what Marley's
See,
fighting, and that's
I'm confused.
a different thing.
I'm just confused with all the names and who's who.
because it's all of a sudden just got dumped
That's
on
what
us.
I can't process.
Yeah, because here we are.
And
It's
I'm
just
not
like
an idiot, I swear.
Well,
but
we
this
were-
is weird.
it literally just came out of left field because we were always in the area of humans fighting titans. Titans are our enemies. Humans are the good guys. There's a bit of moral gray within the human area, but that's just with the horrors of war and everything. But then all of a sudden we realize, oh, Marley is the reason why the titans exist. Marley is the reason why the titans are attacking the walls, and Marley is the reason why everything is going wrong. Sort of. But even then,
We think.
it's a bit of a gray area in that because Chapter 91 goes into a Marleyan perspective slightly, we think, maybe. I don't know. So anyway, back to Chapter 90. So all the information has been disclosed to the government. Like the new government that Levi and the Survey Corps have overthrown. Spoiler alert.
Levi and like 6 remaining members. It's okay,
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's okay.
Hanji's still alive, so
Hanji's
it's
still
okay.
alive, Erwin isn't,
So
but...
it's okay.
Yeah, we all know that, or we all should know if any of you in the anime has stuck around. Well, we warned you. But we're digressing a little bit. So, information has been disclosed. Historia, Crystal Linz, has been notified of all of this, and basically the government's just like, well, what do we do with this information now? And what the general consensus is, they decide to release it to the public, saying like, yes, Marley is a thing, you should fear them, this is what's actually happening. And how did they react, the public?
Everybody, they don't know. Some people thought it was a joke, some people thought it was just a rumor, some people kind of took it seriously.
And
It's normal human nature. People will think what they want to think, sometimes regardless of the truth. So it's
sounds
it's
a
interest-
lot,
it's very
sounds
interesting.
very familiar to
Yeah,
us.
It's very interesting. So it's kind of
Yeah.
nice that he took
It
that
is, they,
respect on and reckoned it back to human
Yeah.
nature, what people would
Yeah.
actually do with
And
something like that, something so far-fetched as that. So it was interesting.
yeah, so Hanji and the Survey Corps are discussing their next move with government officials as to, well, what do we do with Marley now? What do we do with the Titans now? Where do we go from here? And basically there is the agreement that, yes, we need to pursue this. We need to go into this sort of war and fight Marley because they are sort of responsible for everything that's happened. And
Well, no, they never know when more Titans are going to appear.
yeah, so if you cut the source off, then everything should go back to normal,
Yeah.
maybe?
And they don't want more people to be turned into Titans. Spoiler alert.
Oh, that's how it works. Like
so
we
yeah.
said. The next thing that they do, they transition to a award ceremony that is going to be held for the surviving Survey Corps members, mainly everybody
Oh.
we care about,
6, 10 of them, yeah.
and
Not
one guy
many.
that we don't know
Who
about,
just-
who just kind of was there to
It's like
add
one of
tension
those,
to the
you
plot.
know, he's like one of those that like joined on a whim at the beginning there, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna join, and he's like the only one that didn't die.
Yeah, and he almost botched the whole thing up
Yeah.
with bringing Erwin's body back before Armin could just be
Yeah,
the
that's-
one.
But anyway,
But anyway, we digress. Armin's still alive. Erwin isn't, sorry. But that's where it kind of leads into this sort of discussion. This surviving Survey Corps member has a bit of beef with Armin being the one chosen to survive and not Erwin. And it does bring up this whole...
Well, he thought that personal feelings got in the way because Armin is so close to Eren and Mikasa, and then he thought Levi's feelings got in the way, but he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. Levi...
When Erwin told Levi, in not so many words, like, don't you dare inject me with that, because he was done. He felt bad. He knew that it would be able to carry on because Armin's smart. He has a good noggin on his head.
He's got many more years ahead of him.
And so...
Sort of, kind of.
Well, Armin's the one that thought up all of the strategies almost.
Yeah.
So...
He's got as much of a tactical mind as Erwin
and
does.
then you got Hanji left too, so between the two of them, and Erwin was like, no, I've done my part, it's time to move on. But that kid, Flock,
I think it was Flock,
is his name.
yeah.
That's what I'm going to say
Yeah,
until
Flock.
I'm told otherwise.
Flock.
He wasn't
Fluke,
there,
I don't know.
and he doesn't know Armin and all of
Levi
that. Because he
was...
was like somewhat military police kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he knew...
he knew Marlowe.
Marlowe, yeah.
Not Marley. Marlowe. There's a lot of names that we gotta get into
So yeah,
and
so
everything.
he's some military police kid. So what does he know?
Nothing. But, and then it's just like, if you know Levi, he sticks to his guns. He follows orders to a T. So why would he not inject Erwin unless something happened that told him don't?
Mm-hmm.
And Levi is not the kind of guy that would let emotions get the better of him, except for sheer anger and fury and rage.
Well, he's actually a very emotional character.
When you hit him in the right spot.
But he just doesn't show it because he's had such a difficult life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like Levi.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't like Levi?
But,
We digress a little bit more. One other important thing about this conversation was the fact that, surprisingly, Armin actually agrees with Flock. In the sense that, yeah, I feel Erwin should have lived and not me. And that's mainly just Armin's own...
That's Armin being
That's
Armin.
just Armin being Armin, putting everybody else ahead in front of himself.
Armin will sacrifice anything and everything for somebody else. Because that's the way Armin is.
Yeah, he'll sacrifice everything for anyone, or the ocean, one of the two, which we will get to in a little bit. So, we have this excursion between Flock and Armin and the Survey Corps, which is like who lives and who should have died and everything. And it goes into... We kind of transition out of that as sort of like the spat kind of ends, and we go into the award ceremony with Historia bestowing medals onto the Survey Corps members that survived the attack, just to honor them and everything. Eren, Mikasa, Armin, Levi, Hanji, everybody.
Sasha, Connie, Jean.
Pretty much everybody.
That's not it.
Everybody you know and love that's still alive at this point
That's still alive.
is being, though
That's still
a bit injured, several maimed.
Anji lost an eye. I'm
Anji's
pretty sure she's lost an eyeball.
Yeah.
She had a patch on.
And it hasn't gone away for like several chapters now.
Well, and then in the time, there's like a time skip,
There
which
is a
kind of
bit.
leads after.
We'll get
to that, but
we'll get to that in
yeah.
a little bit.
She still
So-
has
yeah.
a patch on, so she
Yeah.
lost her eye.
So we go into the awards ceremony, and we get a sort of introspective look into Eren's thoughts as he's reflecting on all of that has transpired and everything, all this information, because we had several chapters which is purely Grisha Jaeger's
Yeah.
past
Like
experiences.
Hardcore flashback.
Hardcore, like,
What's in the journal?
what was in the basement. Grisha's entire life, from child to adult, to his inevitable death via Eren eating him as a Titan, to get the coordinates.
There's still a lot of
There's
info
still
in there
a
that
lot.
I don't really understand.
Yeah, there's
don't
still
have answers
there's
for.
still a lot of
Isayama.
Why do you do this to us?
It's fine,
So
it's fine.
what Eren begins reflecting on everything that he's learned or has come into contact with, and it's just reflecting with like, what do we do from here? We go to Marley and we start fighting them because they're the reason why everything is happening the way that it is. And then he touches Historia's hand to kiss it as part of the ceremony, which all the other Survey Corps members have been doing up until this point. Now, if you don't recall, Eren has this little thing in his head called the coordinate, which allows him to sort of, kind of, maybe control the Titans.
We don't really know.
To a certain extent.
But I'm
He's
not
only
100% sure.
He's only done it once.
Because it might have been a blood relation thing.
It might have been a blood relation thing.
Well, not a blood relation, because it technically wouldn't be blood relation.
Because Grisha stole it. But he's
then
again,
married. That's not his mom. So
No.
It's not Grisha's bloodline.
No.
But it might be some like familial connection. We don't know.
No, it's again. This is Attack on Titan in a nutshell. So many questions, very few answers, and the questions keep getting stockpiled.
What?
Exactly. So again, Eren kisses Historia's hand, and instantly, due to Historia Reese's bloodline connection to the coordinate via the Reese family,
We're assuming.
The coordinate suddenly activates, and Eren receives a memory from the night Grisha attacked the Reese family to initially steal the coordinate to give to Eren later on, the night while Maria fell. And it comes to this point where Grisha is pleading with them, please do the right thing. And apparently, according to the memory, maybe the Reese family, or the one that was initially holding the coordinate, sort of surrendered?
I have no idea.
A little bit, or just at least shown some sort of remorse to the fact that they're sheltering this immense power that could save all of them.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them. And it's interesting because we don't really see exactly what the memory entails. All we do see
I'm super confused.
out
to
of
be
this
honest.
is a 2-page shot of Historia sort of freaking out and Eren just flat out in like a 1,000-yard stare, just absorbed into this. You see his eyes actually just turn pale white as the coordinate takes over, flooding his head with all of this information. It's rather spooky looking with him just... You think, at first when I saw this picture, I thought he was just going to snap.
I didn't know what was going on.
I thought something terrible was going to happen, and was going to flip the whole thing on top of its head. But luckily...
SNK does.
And that's what, SNK does. But luckily, that doesn't happen. It's just a shock, and that's about it. Nothing happens out of that because
No answers
shortly
again.
after that page, we get introduced to our lovely friend, the time skip.
Yeah.
And not just a small one or anything, like 4 months a la Ruby, but we get something a lot...
Like a year?
It's like a year almost.
Year and a half.
It's longer than several months, but it is...
It's a long time.
It's a pretty long time.
He just skipped over all those questions I had and just ignored them all and just moved along.
Because we actually make immense progress towards this sort of endgame scenario. Because as Eren's home district is reclaimed, while Maria is actually cleaned out of Titans.
With the Titan, like...
With the Titan guillotine.
Crusher thing?
It's the Titan guillotine.
Is that what they call it?
That's what Hanji calls it.
Oh, I don't remember.
Which basically just drops an entire log onto a Titan as it tries to get through a confined
just
space.
continuously.
Just... No ammo, no nothing, just a lot of horsepower.
Genius.
Literally.
Genius.
It's Hanji, first off.
That's why Hanji's amazing.
She knows everything.
Hanji. I cosplay Hanji.
Yeah, she
So.
does. Hardcore. She is Hanji. Just throw some glasses on and
I have Hanji glasses.
do the hair into a ponytail and...
I have Hanji glasses. Like, they were my glasses that I bought for my eyeballs that I can't see out of.
And they just fit perfectly.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have those glasses.
It's like, oh my gosh, I have those glasses. I'm just that crazy.
I'm an engineer. Really, I am.
She is. Call her up. She can build you a mean retaining wall.
Walls.
We're weird.
I'm weird.
But anyway, so while Mario is pretty much just completely cleaned out of Titans, everything within them is just gone. So then they actually which is
weird to
Which
me.
is weird because it feels like when you try to do something as massive as that, you're gonna get screwed over.
Yeah, I'm like, that
super
was,
crazy. That's what SNK does
was
to
too
you.
easy.
They
Where's
sent
the
off
trash?
half their population to get wiped out trying to do that.
So, like, I'm just thinking if they would have, like, figured out that Titan guillotine, like, so
a
much
lot
earlier,
sooner. Well, the thing is, in
how
order
many people could
to
they have saved?
build the guillotine, they needed Eren's Titan hardening powers to create strong enough supports
That's
to
true.
actually make it. So, doing something like that
That's
was
true.
completely infeasible at the time. At the time, until Eren figured it out through sheer anger and rage and
Jaeger!
just being Jaeger. So, with while Mario completely cleaned out, the Survey Corps which has actually grown back into strength because 6 members cannot clear out an entire area like Walmaria, even with the guillotines. But they are able to actually leave Walmaria and explore the entire vast, I call it the frontier.
I don't know.
That is just,
I don't know if you have a special name for it or not.
I don't know either, because nobody's gone there.
No.
Because that's the Titan-infested area.
Okay.
But thanks to the guillotines, it's basically just kind of knocked every single one of them out. Except for one, which was the creep factor, just suddenly spikes real hard, because it's just this disproportionately created Titan. Its limbs are completely like...
Well, it reminded me of the Reese one.
It reminded... It does...
Its arms and legs
Its arms and legs are too small to support its own body.
Move.
So all it can do is just drag itself.
So it was just like crawling on the ground.
But even more
really
so...
slow.
But even weirder than Rod Reese's, which is technically the largest Titan you had ever seen. This one is so disproportionate that it can't even like lift any part of its body off the ground, and it's literally just like creating this huge... It's plowing through the ground, trying to get to the walls. Humans. And you can see like the entire trench that it's left behind. And it's taken years for it to move. And it's still moving.
And they just ignore it.
They just walk around it.
Bye, ride my horsey behind it.
Even though Armin could probably just walk up to it and just hack it.
Yeah,
Armin could do it.
Somebody could have easily.
Anybody could do it.
But they're humans.
That's what's...
And if it's not gonna be able to hurt them, obviously.
Yeah, it can't even
pick
itself up.
I think that's kind of part of the reason why they let it go. They're like, we can't justify.
Right. It can't even get like its mouth out of the ground. It's buried that far deep.
Yeah, we can't justify killing it if it's not going to actually be able to hurt us.
So they're just going to let it wallow in the eternal misery that it
Bye.
will. Bye. Sucks to be you, but
they kept going.
And so they finally get to this preliminary wall structure that Marley has been using to create the Titans. They just inject alien prisoners with the Titan serum and then just Spartan kick them off the edge into the vast unknowns for them to just merrily waltz their way over to...
And Aaron knows that because the flashbacks that he gets
because of Grisha Yeager's memories.
That's where it was.
And it was the information that was contained within the numerous journals in the basement as well. There's just all this information. It's this structure where they just punt a whole bunch of people off after injecting them, and there's Titans.
They're falling through the air, transforming into Titans.
You actually see Grisha's wife turn into the Smiling Titan, which is the first one that you pretty much see. And that's that huge catalyst. It was Grisha Yeager's first wife.
And that's the one at the end, the one I think that kind of where they're going to end season 2. That's the one that Aaron stops.
Aaron's going to stop with the coordinate, yes.
And I cried.
Cried?
In those sections when I read that. So I was just like...
You cry at literally
cried
all the stuff you
I cry
SNK.
a lot. I cry a lot. Just get your box of tissues, it's okay.
Get ready.
But yeah.
There's going to be a lot of stuff, you know, just for, again, if anyone in the anime has still stuck around to this point, what is wrong with you, first off? Second off, do get those box of tissues ready because you are going to be backstabbed like no other.
Season 2 is going to be so sad.
Because this time we know how it's all going to go down.
And to actually see it happening and to hear the voice actors.
Just to see it in motion.
And to hear it.
With our human ears, like humans do.
And they're voice actors that do a fabulous job. I don't watch it dubbed. Disclaimer. I don't watch SNK dubbed. I can't do it.
Bryce, we're looking at you if you're watching this. You ruined Aaron.
I can't do it. I prefer the Japanese voice actors, especially for us.
Matthew Mercer, you do a mean Levi Ackerman. We're giving you that one. Not just because I watch you on Critical Role for favoritism or anything, but you do pull off a good Levi.
I prefer the Japanese.
You just prefer Japanese over everything.
I just like the original.
See, here's the... You don't know how this actually works, guys. She's a sub, I'm a dub, and we're brother and sister. How does that even work?
And then I go to conventions and I'm like, I don't know any of your stuff.
I really like the character that you play, but I don't really like you.
But I don't listen to your rendition of it. Sorry.
Except for Vic.
Because he did voice Crow. And And I was like, oh, I love that. I don't get it. I don't. Anyway.
Everyone has their preference, but
That's a big tangent.
We do a lot of digressing here. That could be another thing that we could do.
tangent.
That could be another episode of something that we could do. Sub or dub.
Karaoke Solano's music, and then the voice acting, and then the animation, and then I'm gonna cry. So
yeah, she even knows what's going to happen, but she's still going to cry.
Of course I'm gonna cry.
I'm just going to be just sitting there.
I'm a big baby.
What
can you do?
What can you do? So, we digress a lot. So, moving on. Get to the Marley structure, and they get past that, and finally, after so many chapters, Armin's dream is finally revealed, and we finally see not a one-shot, a two-page shot, full front to back, of the ocean. Armin, Eren, Mikasa, everybody has finally reached the ocean, and finally see it with their own eyes, hear it with their own ears, and feel it with their own two working hands, because nobody of this group has died yet.
Yeah.
Which is completely weird. Well, Armin kind of died.
Don't speak too soon.
Armin kind of died, but then brought him back after he ate Bertolt. Spoiler. Sorry, he's the new Colossal Titan. Surprise, surprise.
We haven't seen him transform into it, though.
Well, that's how the Titan power actually works. It's inherited.
No, I know.
So,
but I said we haven't seen it.
Yeah, we haven't seen him go full-on Colossal.
Because he hasn't had to.
He hasn't had a reason to. But, so we see this whole two-page shot of the ocean, the Survey Corps arriving at it, and then we get a nice little reprieve of everyone's first initial reactions to being in the ocean, seeing what's in the ocean. We see Jean, because it's English translations and it's weird. Jean, like, freaking out.
Jean. Jean.
Yeah.
It's French.
Well, then you get Jaune as Jean as well.
That's French too. But Jean.
Jean. It's Jean. Don't argue with us. I try and I fail every time. Jean, like, freaking out with, like, oh, it's so salty! Because he thinks it's just like regular water, because he's never seen the ocean before. It's sad, it's cute, it's heartbreaking. And you see Mikasa, like, freaking out, like, oh, what's going on here?
They took their boots off.
It's
rolled
just
up their pant legs. They're like normal human beings.
Yeah, it's so adorable that they're just like frolicking in the ocean. I wonder how Levi reacted to it. You don't see a shot of him, but he's just probably just standing there with his arms folded, just being a grouch.
Internally crying, probably.
Just being a grouch as always.
Internally, like, sobbing.
And so then, naturally though, we get a shot of Eren reacting to the ocean. All he's doing is just staring off into the empty abyss where Marley should supposedly be. And he's sort of, because this was a dream of his as well, to see this ocean of salt that even a salt salesman wouldn't be able to get all of it out. And he's just that 1,000-yard stare of Eren's as usual.
Poor Eren.
So melancholic. And he's just basically pointing out, it's like, that's where our true enemy is.
They're the problems.
And that's where our true freedom would be.
He feels like he can't be free yet because, and they don't know, like, when is Marley gonna come back?
Yeah.
For them and do something bad to them again. Like, they might have found some kind of peace right now, but how long is it gonna last?
Yeah.
You can't live in total peace and freedom
We're
until
technically
they know what's coming, for sure.
Not until Marley is dealt with, there is no true freedom. And that's actually where chapter 90 leaves off. That's
Eren being a Debbie Downer.
Being a massive Debbie Downer. Just enjoy the ocean and think about all your doom and gloom and death all over the place later. We know your childhood sucks now, but just enjoy these fleeting hours of happiness.
It's Eren. Oh, and his hair got longer.
Yeah, his hair got longer because it's like several months later, or a year or two,
it's much
maybe.
Longer. It's like down his shoulders.
Yeah, it's...
At first sight, I was like, is this Eren?
It's shoulder length.
I was...
Not this long, but shoulder length. So that was chapter 90. And that was a bit more grounded in that we saw the conclusion of it all and everything, and we're like, yes, we see where all this is going. And then we get to 91. Now, go with me on this. 1, 2, 3. What?
W-U-T, what?
Here's
Or
where...
W-A-T.
This is where we get to. Chapter 91 is the first chapter in the entire series where not a single returning, recurring, current character shows up.
That we're aware of.
That we're aware of.
We can't really tell.
Can't really tell. I have a...
Well, I'm like, is it a flashback?
Is it a flashback?
Is it a prequel?
Is it happening right now?
The flashback and prequel are the same.
Yeah. Well, a flashback...
Flashback, prequel, that's like the same thing. Yeah,
well, a flashback requires a character to actually remember that and think back. So, but this could be before. It could be a flashback. It could be happening now.
Is it?
Could be a few years later after Chapter 90. We don't know. Again, in typical SNK fashion,
I don't know.
We get a few answers and then a heaping helping of questions that.
That and I get nothing from like costumes.
No.
I can't tell what time period.
No. Can't figure it out because this is all just getting meshed together and everything. We're realizing just how technologically advanced humanity is and how sheltered the walls are.
Well, we got that a long time ago.
Yeah, we got that a long time ago, but just how technologically advanced.
Well, Grisha was able to have pictures, so
true.
Obviously,
to a certain degree.
we know they're going to be more technological.
I'd have
they
to
created Titans.
Out of
technology, syringes, like all the syringes.
I'd have to say I'd place this type
photography.
Pretty high. I would sort of place this in like the Industrial Revolution-esque era.
That's what it feels like to me.
It feels like it's very steampunkish,
which I love.
Which is a very cool way to.
I like steampunk.
Introduce technology is to have it like steampunk variant and not entirely work the right way that you think, but it still works either way, and it's just left up to that imagination. But we get to Chapter 91, the biggest what in the entire series, because we get introduced to not only just like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 new characters, we get an entire civilization of new people that we don't know anything about. No one from the previous chapters is here. Aaron, Mikasa, Armin, Levi, nobody that we know is in Chapter 91. It's all these new people. And it throws us into this conflict with Marley and this other entity that may or may not be Eldian.
I have no idea.
We don't know. They go by the 34th
I feel like they're like
something or another squad.
Fighting within themselves.
It sort of feels like that.
I don't get it.
And then the people of Paradis, which is the Walled Nation, are just kind of there.
Yeah, it's almost like they've forgotten about them, or they're
it's sort of forgotten.
Those people aren't like their biggest concern right now, because that's why I think they're like
they're so isolated.
They're infighting with some other like faction, and then they're like, we'll get to those Paradise people after we like finish and take control over whatever we're fighting for. Because
it's like Marley is very well aware that the founding Titan's power, the coordinate, is on Paradis, because Grisha it was always there, because the Reese family, the first king or whatever, took it to Paradis, built the walls. It's Paradis. Paradis.
Oh, there's no E on
or at least my translation doesn't have an E on it, but again, she has one translation, I have another.
You know what we're talking about.
You know what we're talking about. Where SNK has been taking place.
None of us will really know until the anime comes out.
Yeah, it's where SNK has been taking. It's where SNK has been taking place the entire time up until this point.
On this island, pretty much.
So, we get introduced to all these new characters, and it's like almost like World War I-esque.
That's what it feels
where
like.
everyone's got their helmets and their uniforms and these rifles, and they're all in trenches fighting. It's literally trench warfare.
Yeah, it's very World War I.
And you have these Marley forces assaulting this encampment. They call it a slavery camp.
Yeah. But
it's weird.
It really looks
like one of the walls.
3 walls.
It's circular. It's on a hill. There's central buildings in the center.
There's like spiral. It looks.
It looks eerily similar to one of the 3 walls. I'd have to say more Wall Maria-esque in its construction. I don't really know. It's circular. It's a wall. It looks very similar. But we have Marley, a squad of Marley soldiers, sort of pinned down by all is suppressive fire. One of their guys, I think his name's Falco. They call him that?
Falco. Yeah. Falco, hi.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of Smash Bros. References pulled out of here, but it's his name. Just
I couldn't,
roll
like,
with it.
take it seriously because I just kept thinking about Smash Bros.
Yeah, the bluebird. The wings of freedom. Is he gonna defect? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe. I just came up with that right now.
I was gonna say right now, you did.
I just came up with that. If that is, that's kind of a cop-out. Man, that's too easy.
No. It's great.
Well, nothing's easy in the world of SNK.
Nothing's easy in life. Not in SNK, in life.
So it's, again, we literally, just like the Marley forces, we get like bombarded. Not with bullets and anti-personnel shells or anything, but we just get bombarded with all this information. We get names, we get people, we get reasoning, we get predicaments, we get all this stuff just thrown at us in like the span of like 5 to 6 pages. It's very, very hard for the veteran SNK reader to take all of this into account. We're still trying to like pour over all of this information.
It's a lot of info. I just read it and I try to comprehend, but I know I'm not like thinking right, so I'm like, maybe the next chapter will help.
In the next month or so.
And then it never does.
And it never does, because that's how SNK gets you. A few answers here, way too many questions later.
But yeah.
But it's we're trying to discuss chapter 91. But again, we don't have the biggest understanding of what's going on just because of all the new that is happening.
And I don't know what timeline it is. It really bothers me.
Again, we don't know if this is like concurrent, this is the past, is it the future?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know exactly what's going on.
And we won't.
We won't.
For who knows how long.
But there was a line that I showed you where these Marley soldiers are talking about who will be the next warrior. And there's a batch of
potential people who've been in like training, and this is like one of their final like, and they're gonna have
rites
like,
of passage,
final like test or whatever to see who will inherit the warrior capabilities, which
and who's always calling themselves a warrior.
All of the Titan shifters.
One in particular.
Well,
no, come on! It's Rainier!
Well, they're all warriors.
But he's the one that's also, no, we're not humans. We're warriors.
Well, yeah.
And then Bertolt and Annie just kind of stand there.
Yeah, but Annie's frozen in a crystal.
Annie's in a crystal. Bertolt's dead.
But they reference that, so that's why I'm
thinking
it's like it
like the female
might possibly be concurrent, or I don't know if it's like the 1 year later, like the other batches, or if it was like during that 1 year that this is going on, because they reference how they've lost.
Could this be happening?
They've referenced how they've lost the female Titan.
Could this be happening?
And they don't know what's happened to the Colossal, right?
They don't know what happened to the Colossal.
They did say that, right?
I think.
They
do reference.
But the Beast is back.
The Beast is back with them. We know Zeke. We basically assume that the Beast Titan is Zeke Yeager. Assuming.
They look too much alike.
They look way too much alike.
Maybe that side by side with the Beast Titan and like Grisha, like
they look exactly alike. So
if it's not, then
I'm on the boat of saying that Grisha and Helena's son, who betrayed them, is the Beast Titan.
If it's not, then
if it's not, well then surprise, surprise. Okay. I'm alright with that. But I'm more or less saying that that is it, because there was something else that came into question when I was doing more research over this. Just trying to figure out, they say that there are 9 heirs to Ymir.
There's 9 shifters.
There's 9 shifters, and there can only be 9 at any given point.
Yeah.
Each one possessing some sort of unique quality to them alone. We get names to each of them. Bertolt, now Armin, is the Colossal Titan. Rainier is the Armor Titan. Annie's the Female Titan. We finally got confirmation that Aaron's Titan name was the Attack Titan, which makes a lot of sense now to the title of the series in a whole. And one thing that was always
I like learning different languages.
We get the Beast Titan as well. We get what I call the Runt Titan, which is Ymir. Our Ymir. The Ymir everybody knows at this point, because Ymir seems to be just that name that keeps getting thrown out to everyone.
Interesting. How
it's really interesting.
Kind of brainwashed Ymir to becoming Ymir?
Well, she was a Titan at first. And we don't know where she eventually...
Yeah, I don't know if she's actually kicked the bucket or what.
Was she one of those that had been subjected to the Titan
Well, I think she was,
treatment?
wasn't she?
She
yeah,
because she was. She was the scapegoat.
They brainwashed her into thinking that she was Ymir, so they like found her, and then they're like, "You're Ymir," and she's like, "I am Ymir," and then she just like took on that role, and then they caught her,
and then they
injected her, and they booted her off the wall, and then she ate somebody, and
she
then she
ate
turned
like
into a human.
I think her name was Marcus.
She like
I want to
ate
say
Bertolt's and Rainier's
friend.
And then she turned into a human, and then she met Krista, and then we know, and then in season 2 of the anime, you'll find out what happens to Ymir.
Yeah, you actually.
And that's the last time
you know
find
actually
out what happens to Ymir, because we still don't know. I
actually,
still don't know if she's dead or not.
If anyone has seen the trailer for season 2 already, you've seen Ymir. You just don't know it yet.
But you would already know that because you've
manga
read the manga.
Manga readers who have stuck around know that already. Anime watchers who have stuck around this far.
Sorry.
We warned you. But, so, there was something else that came up, and just me doing that research over the 9 Titans. There is that quadruped Titan. That 4-legged one that works with the Beast Titan. Mm. I was doing research over that, and I found out his name.
Well, did you find out name, or did you find out a fan theory name?
No, it's like on the wiki, but that one thing. Take it with a grain of salt.
If it's not confirmed by Isayama, then I don't necessarily believe it to be true.
Yeah. It's possible that... Possible. If he's working with the Beast Titan, who we've more or less maybe kind of confirmed as Zeke Yeager.
I'm assuming so.
We're all assuming so.
The picture was way too similar.
Yeah, and the way that he just knows everything. He knows Eren, he knows Grisha, he knows all this stuff.
But would he still be alive? Well, maybe he didn't inherit the Beast Titan.
Maybe he didn't inherit because we all know now that Titan Shifters have a time limit before they expire, and the Titan power is passed on to someone else.
Someone else.
If it's
not taken,
it's
pick
just
someone. Wouldn't you hate that?
Yeah.
Just like randomly be like, oh, you now have like 8 years to live. Congrats.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, we need to think of somebody close to us, or put you into 2 chambers and then get your powers siphoned off to another one, only for the lady to shoot an arrow at you, and then you get killed by said lady who takes it, pure Nikos. Yeah, it works like that. If anyone's seen Ruby up to this point, the Maiden's powers are pretty much the Titan powers at this point, except without the time limit. Titan powers have the time limit. I'm a terrible person, guys. I'm a terrible person. That's another series that we could do. Ruby Reflection.
Really cry over. Piranha.
I'm trademarking it right now, Ruby Reflection. We'll just go with that. So, anyway, continuing on with my little theory thing, the quadruped Titan.
Yeah.
I believe, and many people have kind of literally picked this name, his name might be Plek. Pleck.
Where in the world did that come from?
I don't know. He's in chapter 91.
Plek?
I don't know.
Do I remember?
And it might be a mistranslation as well. I mean, I could try and like...
I don't remember that.
Because
Is that one of the kids?
It's one of the people in the trench. It's one of the people discussing this whole like thing as a whole. And I'm actually pulling up the translation and everything. I don't remember specifically which page it's on, but... Many people believe that one of these soldiers in the trench is actually the 4-legged, like, Titan shifter that's just there to haul things around for the Beast Titan. It's strange. It's not 100% proven because, well, that which... No, it's not Plek, it's Peak. P-E-A-K. This guy. Maybe. Just maybe. Who knows? Don't know.
I don't know.
It's kind of up in the air. It would be interesting if that is the case. I would almost have to assume that whoever is the 4-legged Titan is working with Marley, because the Beast Titan is working with Marley, if it is in fact Zeke Yeager.
Maybe.
And it's another insider, just like Rainier and Berthold were. Because again, it's that use of the word warrior that these Marley soldiers are throwing around to become the next warrior. Rainier's the one that is most prominently using that word to describe himself, Bertolt, Annie, the shifters in general. So to become the next warrior means to become the next shifter. And they specifically say to inherit the title of the Armored Titan, which is Rainier. Which also puts up that interesting shot of like what appears to be an airship making its way to Paradis with maybe...
I don't think that's...
Maybe Rainier? Who knows because of the time skip? Again, that time skip is what's coming into conflict with everything.
Their facial structure just doesn't look the same to me. I don't know about that.
Again, I'm just kind of spitballing these things as well because it's anybody's guess at this point. So, either way, the war itself that's going on right now, we've got basically this World War I feel of trench warfare.
What you said.
I'm just trying to get back on track because of all of our vast amounts of digressing at this point. It's good content, though. Good content. So, all these soldiers are trying to figure out how to push forward when this armored train literally comes out. If anyone's played Battlefield 1, you know that feeling. Because it has an armored train.
I don't play it.
Yeah, that's why I had to explain that. For anyone who doesn't play.
I got that, but...
For anyone who doesn't play Battlefield 1, there's an armored train. So this armored train comes out, and they're like, oh, geez, what do we do now? Well, one soldier in particular, the ambitious one that wants to become the next armored titan.
Very badly.
Very badly. Almost like to Eren-esque levels of fanaticism.
Yeah.
With
very,
victory and defeat for the enemy.
Driven.
Very, very Eren-like. Her name's Gabi. G-A-B-I. So, she comes up with this brilliant strategy of playing damsel in distress with a bomb strapped around her ankle. Basically just throwing off her entire military uniform, walking out into that no man's zone with just her hands up, with a fearful look on her face, like, I surrender, please don't shoot me. Because we get confirmation from the opposing side that there is, like, a rule during this war that you are not supposed to shoot anyone who looks like a civilian. And they can't tell if she is a soldier, or if she's just a civilian who got into the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And for some reason they don't see like the 7 sticks of dynamite like wrapped around her ankle that she's literally dragging across the ground.
Yeah, they just think something's wrong with her foot. I'm like,
they just think something's wrong with the foot, and they don't see the like log-shaped thing dragging across the ground behind her. And so then she, like, sort of collapses, like she faints or something, just to get into position, and then she just hucks that bomb over, blows up the armored train, and then we get this really comedic look of just her, like, sprinting. Like, just literally being a troll.
Yeah.
And blowing up the whole armored train.
But, like, kind of maniac laughing, too.
Sort of. Like, this is all according to her plan, and she's like, I knew it'd work! Ha! Suck it, noobs!
Yeah.
And then...
But while she was doing that...
As she was, like, gloating, essentially, one soldier who did survive the explosion throws up his rifle and is just ready to just blow her head off.
Yeah.
And then...
they were in, like, bunkers.
They were in a bunker.
So they were mainly just, like, trying to blow up the train thing.
Or just blow a hole in their defenses.
Yeah.
And then the train came out and they went for that first.
Yeah.
And then, as he shoots, we get introduction to yet another Titan shifter.
You're totally missing the fact that kid, what's his name?
Gilead?
No. Falco, yeah!
Well, he got shot in the head.
No, but like he got back, but wasn't he the one that was like, Gabby, don't do it, Gabby, don't do it, Gabby, don't do it?
I thought he was like...
he has a crush on her.
Maybe.
And so he's like, no, don't do it, because he's trying to protect her, because he didn't want her to go out there, and then, so she's running out, and then he runs out there to like protect her, because she did that, and then she's running back.
Maybe he's got Eren levels of...
He wanted to save her.
Maybe he's got Eren levels of...
Of protect people.
Craziness, I was gonna say.
They're all crazy, I think.
But,
so like he runs out there.
I jumped the gun
and like
there.
tries to protect her, but then
we get confirmation of perhaps the 9th and final Titan shifter, who looks a lot like the attack and the armored mashed together.
And a little bit like the beast.
And a little bit beasty as well.
To me, it looks like that.
again, I went on various sites, and many people have coined him as the Jaws Titan. Because he's got this huge, like, jaw-like... He's got this huge jaw-like faceplate. That's just like... It literally does cover his entire...
It's like those bear traps.
Traps,
It looks like those bear traps.
Yeah.
That's
it's just...
shiny K-pop.
There is no... It's like the Armored Titan's faceplate as well, but more jagged and more indented, so that it literally can't, like, shift around at all.
He's got those claws.
And he's also got hardening claws as well. Or maybe it's exposed bone because it's not fully transformed yet.
It's pretty weird.
Because it wasn't instantaneous transformation.
He, like, leaped out.
Like, only, like...
To protect the two.
Like, only, like, several meters or so. I want to say.
Things.
Just to get out of the trench, transform, and then just basically take the brunt of all that fire, which does literally nothing to him.
Yeah.
And then he just makes
he's a Titan.
Yeah,
like,
he's a Titan, so literally machine gun fire does nothing.
Regenerate.
Nothing at all. Well, I don't even think it does that. It just, like,
Yeah.
splinters off and does absolutely no damage whatsoever. And then he just makes a mad sprint forward and just plows through that entire defense perimeter and busts a hole straight into that wall.
I wonder why they didn't do that in the first
That's
place.
what I was wondering.
Were they
Maybe
trying
they were
to, like, hide the power of the Titan?
I think they were...
didn't know that they had it.
I think, well, they
I thought
knew
were trying
he...
to, like,
I knew...
Kind of keep it a secret.
I think they knew that there was a shifter with them, and they knew who that shifter was, but I think it was like orders, don't use it, we don't want to expose that you're here and draw attention.
That's kind of what I thought too.
Because who knows, maybe they're able to capture him and reverse the powers, because it's a very sacred power that they have.
That's true.
So, we now have confirmation of our 9th Titan. We think. Because we have the Founding Titan, who is the Attack Titan, so there's only 8 shifters at this point, because Eren has the power of 2 Titans. That we're aware of. Well, they didn't say...
There are 2 Titans?
That's what I was thinking.
What?
Because the Reese family had the Founding Titan shifter power.
I thought that was just the coordinate.
That is the coordinate.
But that's a Titan on its own?
That's a Titan on its own.
Oh, see, I kind of thought that was just like a little special thing.
I thought that was a little special thing as well, but then they start...
And it just so happens...
But then they start... But then after Grisha Yeager's revelations in the basement, they start coining it the Founding Titan.
Do they? And I just missed that?
Maybe. It's like...
Somebody
it's like a direct...
manga.
It's like a direct descendant of Ymir herself. She possessed all the powers of the Titans. Every single one of them.
That was like,
and then when she died, it split 9 different ways. And so the Founding Titan became its own Titan, all its own.
Oh, see, I kind of thought that was just like a little special...
And it was inherited by...
Bloop coordinate thing that didn't really turn into a Titan per se.
Yeah. And it was inherited by...
Because, that's it, how are all the memories inherited by all the Reese members?
Well, that's what the...
Titan.
Well, each Titan has its own unique powers.
It's confusing.
It's very confusing.
I don't have adequate answers.
It's very confusing. It's
I want more
super
answers.
Well, the way that it is, the Founding Titan has, like, control of Titans. It's basically, the Founding Titan has mind manipulation. It can manipulate the Titans to do whatever they want. But then it has the ability to erase memories from a vast populace as well.
Yeah.
So, the Founding Titan was initially part of the Fritz Reese family. And it was stayed there until Grisha, the inheritor of the Attack Titan, came and insanity ensued.
I still don't know what his mission was.
His mission was to restore the people of Ymir, the Eldians. Because that's what the owl told him. Not an avian owl, the guy who goes by the name the Owl, who was the original owner of the Attack Titan power, which Eren now holds himself, which is basically his main Titan form, the attack form.
Yeah.
But it's very, very, very confusing at this point, because we just got introduced to just so much new and so much what that it's so hard to pin down what's going on, because again, this timeline has gone completely off the rails. Because we don't know when this is happening. We don't technically know where this is happening. We just know it's not happening on Paradis, which the walled island. We know it's not happening there, but where is it happening? When is it happening? Who is involved with this happening?
Exactly, yeah.
And why is this happening?
Yeah, it's confusing.
It's so much we don't know at this point. And it gets very difficult to discuss because we can't confirm or deny anything.
My mind goes fuzzy because I start thinking of all these things and I'm like, none of them are answered. I'm just gonna stop.
But then you don't stop.
But then I don't stop. And then I'm like, next chapter, I'm just as confused.
And we keep saying it's the Attack on Titan way. Few answers piled on with many more questions.
Yeah.
It's like that. It happened with getting to the basement finally. It's like, finally, we know what's in the basement. What does that mean? Why is there a picture? What do the books what do the books contain? Is that Grisha? Who's that girl he's with? And the little guy next to him? Who's that? Just again, so many questions that happened.
So many.
And now we have an entire chapter with just nothing but new. Nothing but new. And so then it's just no answers whatsoever. Again. And just way too many questions piled on top of that. So, and that's actually where the entire chapter ends.
With a Titan appearing.
With the Jaws Titan appearing and busting through those defenses, and everyone just
like,
kind of...
Yeah!
And then it ends.
I'm done. What?
We like that the chapters are long. Like, there's a lot to flip
It's
through.
nice having like 40 pages instead of like the
10.
20. But a lot of times the 20 come out.
Well, I read
2
Fairy
week-
Tail, and it's like
They
10.
come out in 2-week installments instead of a month, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
When I read, all the ones I read are like monthly.
Yeah. Mine are weekly, and they're short.
Elementary line.
So, that is basically it. We're all caught up at this point. Again, no questions answered. Way too many more thrown on top of it as well.
Yep.
So, that's actually it for this episode with our little brief discussion with...
Brief.
With lots of side digressing and everything.
Sorry.
Well, that's what happens when you do this, when you wing it, and then you start thinking of other stuff that might be true, maybe not, who knows.
Who knows?
But I'd like to hear it in the comments below. What do you think is happening right now? Because you can't really spoil us anymore because we're ahead of all of you. Possibly. But, well, again, we either read it or just missed it. It's there. We just probably overlooked it if we don't know it.
Yeah.
But if you know something or have a possible theory as to what's going on, who these people are, or where do we go from here, leave it in the comments section below. We'd like to hear back from you and just see where this is going and give us a little bit more insight if we missed something. We'd like to hear back from you and all that jazz.
All that jazz. Sorry.
Pull out our trombone and our saxophones and we just start going away because we're weird like that.
Person.
Yeah.
You just did a Chicago reference.
I did.
I appreciate it.
So that's it for this episode. Again, leave comments below with what you think. If you want to see more episodes like this, again, there's a comment section below to let us know. Tweet us at Viger13 and OllieMae Cosplay on Twitter, respectively. I'll leave those links in the description below. We'd love to hear back from you because we love discussing this stuff because we made a show about it. So,
We love talking to people with common interests.
Yeah, that's why we go to these cosplays all the time, and that's why we're both weird.
That's why we're weird.
Yeah, it's good to find nice, weird people.
Just embrace it.
Yes, embrace your weirdness. If that's something to take away from this entire video, embrace your inner weird. And I guess that's it. I'm Viger.
I'm OllieMae.
And that's it for this episode. And as always, I will see you guys when I see you guys. And I just said it again. As always, toodles.